Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to tonight's edition on Prime R, the first edition for the week. And this evening on the program, we are going to be looking at the political class in Cameroon, asking ourselves whether we are at the crossroads and what should be the way forward. Is it time for an overhauling of the political class that is existing, going by the way they are interacting? We're going to be discussing about this on the platform, and if time permits, we also are going to be asking the question as to how ready young people are to be the change that they seek to make in others. We are discussing this with panelists who are here with me. Dr. Ndimancho is here with us, and is a core member of Cameroon Civil Society and a lecturer with some universities. Good evening, Dr. Ndimancho.
Thank you so much, Mr. Liu, for inviting me, and greetings to all the Cameroonians. And please, I wish you beg for your special indulgence to greet all the people of Noni. Yesterday, on Saturday, we had an all Noni inclusive meeting for dialogue, and I wish to thank the Funds of Noni for pushing forward unity in the Noni land, and in a very special way, I would like to thank the lustrous son of Noni, who is like the mouthpiece of the Noni people, from Kwanti, Dr. Ndimancho, who flies all the way from the USA to pilot this initiative of peace, unity, and development of Noni. I think that only a dedicated son of the soil can be able to do this. A mighty thank you to God-sent sons of Noni and in the who are based in the region, West region, who welcome us. I'm thinking very particularly of Sheikh John D. and SDO Lanyu Harry, who are all sons of Noni, who welcome us so specially, and special thanks to all the Noni stakeholders who came under the banner of Anoda and Nodeka. These are all Noni development associations, and we came to synergize effort to be able to push Noni forward. And we think that this spirit of unity that we started on Saturday, we know that Noni is going to catapult on the next coming days, and to not forgetting all other organizers who made this meeting very special for us. Justice Bara, Amidu, and all of those who were together with us, Infinio Mabu and all. We thank you all for the special meeting that we had, and we know that if this spirit continues, then Noni is going to be the next paradise in the coming weeks, the coming months, and why not be an example for other villages to copy. Thank you all, and we pray that this synergy will continue. A greeting to all the Cameroonians.
Is it easy to go to Noni now?
Yes, it is, apart from the fact that we have some little hitches with the voices in the bush. And I think that the route to Noni, I want to give special thanks first to Philemon Young, the president of the United Nations General Assembly now. He was the one who orchestrated the tarring of the route down from Babungo up to Oko to Tolong. And now there was a stretch of road we're going to reach to Misaje. The route is in course now, but we halfway our routes are tight. And I think that going to Noni from Bamenda is not a very big issue. We don't have any issue of routes. At least this is one thing we should be proud of. I know where a route passes, development follows. And that's why I'm inviting all the Noni people to come under the banner of Shinoni to be able to galvanize this development spirit.
Which Oko is that? Babungo, Oko?
Yes, Bamudo, Oko, that is Babungo. You pass through Tolong. Yes, actually, yes, there's a route that leads.
Ibal, Oko?
Ibal, good. You pass Ibal, you go up to Tolong. Tolong is in Oko.
All is start now?
Yes, it starts. From Ibal to Tolong, it starts. Perfectly start. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We also in the company of Prof. Marc and Tony, who has been away for some time, a Pan-Africanist. Good evening, we're glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. Thank you. Good evening to my fellow panelists. Good evening to Cameroonians, and good evening to Africans watching from all over the world. It is a pleasure to be back on this particular wonderful program, Prime R. It has been a while. I actually want to take this opportunity to salute all of you who wish me a fast recovery for the past period of time when I was down. Thank you very much for your concern.
Okay, Ndimancho Michael, a core member of Cameroon Civil Society, is also in the studio with us. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening to lovers of Prime R. And a special one to all those people watching us from Boya, especially Mayo Street and the Bukwai Junction. I had a very nice stay in Buea for a whole week, and I must testify that the people there welcome me. Once you are there, it's as if you are in another world in Cameroon. Attitudes different, behavior different. I'm very glad to be back in Douala, and I want to say thank you very much to those who recognized me in Buea and took special care of me. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, and also to everybody watching us from Boyo, on Boyo Division.
Yes.
I know you're going to call we. I was told you were in my 16 the other day I was in Boya, and almost everybody in my 16 told me that Tah Javis was here yesterday.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kum. Of course, to the peace-loving people of Way Village, I want to wish them a very special good evening. Despite the difficulties for us to get to the village, we know that in due course, Honorable Welland Richard and the cream of experts who put their hands together for us to have a better route. I want to also wish a special good evening to the Chancellor, Pro-Chancellor, the Chief Shepherd of Buea Diocese, His Lordship Michael Bibi, who is the Chancellor and Pro-Chancellor of the Catholic University of Buea, and of course Reverend Father Bartholomew Aniawu. A special good evening to the entire faculty staff and students. The students will be writing their exams tomorrow. I wish them good luck. And to the President of our nation and also all political stakeholders, I wish them good evening, and a special one to you, Fabrice Lena, the man on the spotlight this week.
Okay, we are starting with you, Dr. Ndimancho. The political class at crossroads, need for profound overhauling. Are you okay with that caption?
Yes, I am very, very okay, Mr. Kum, because when we go by what is happening now in the opposition party, we realize that they are working across purposes. They are not only across route, but they are working across purposes. It means that what? Like Shakespeare will say, if they want to come to a consensus or they want to have a concerted goal, all the other political or opposition parties must die, and then one should leave. What Shakespeare means by here is that you don't die, it's not a physical death, it's literary. It means that what? Others must submit to project the order. That is, only one political party, at least one leader, should go ahead of all the others. And this submit, die means that what? They should be humble, they should give in, they should project. Because in projecting one leader, you are automatically projecting yourself. And this is one thing that we have to understand. And we should also learn from the politics of other countries, that we shouldn't do a selfish kind of politics. You hear political parties who want to go to the presidency or want to ascend to the presidency, but they do not know which route to take. Many are taking some shortcuts that are not worth it, that they will never reach there. Others are taking very long courses to go there, that they know that even from now up to 2020, October 2020, they will not reach there because they will still be trekking and going. So you find that there is this issue of confusion among them. Because somebody will not stand and say, we should have a transition of 3 to 5 years in government. And you are not proposing a leader who should stand for that transition. How does it work? Or another person will say, come in, let us have, come in under, I'm leading the APC, the Alliance or Political Transition in Cameroon. And then you say, come. Just like somebody was saying in 2018, follow me. And then they are asking you, where are we following you to? You are just telling us, follow me. I'm talking about like Kamto. Kamto said, follow me. And everybody was following. And then we didn't know where he was leading on. That is why at one moment he had to lead the people in the middle of the road by refusing to go for municipal and legislative election. Because there was no, vision of that follow me. People didn't know where they were heading to. And that is exactly what the opposition parties are into today. You find Joshua Osei of the SDF who talks about, having an agenda. He talks about having an agenda. And then we are asking, that agenda you say you are having, I mean, how will you achieve that agenda if you do not come in a concerted action with other political parties? In as much as I sympathize very much with the SDF, But I should also believe that because, well, they have a very, very good manifesto. They have a very, very good ideology to say that they need a parliamentary system of government. By this, they say that, okay, development should start from the base. But when you tell people we want an agenda, we are at a very, very critical moment in Cameroon, whereby any decision you take now is going to affect Cameroonians massively in the coming months and the coming years. And therefore, when you talk about an agenda, you should be able to define this agenda very well. And now, going by who they are fighting for, 368 parties fighting for one party against one party, which is the CPDM. CPDM started its campaign in November 2023 when the SG went to the West region, gathered a whole lot of, the whole of me and his wife at the party house in Bafoussam and told them, we have our champion and it is only our champion that is going to lead us. And he said it clearly, we do not have any other candidate apart from President Pobia, and therefore nobody should hope to ever, to compete against him. So for them, they have, already sealed their candidate for next year. But the opposition is still wondering among themselves, first, having the militants. And you already know, no opposition has ever had up to 600 representatives in all the jurisdiction or the regional bases that we have in Cameroon. And you should know that since the opposition in Cameroon is much more tribal, is divisional, is regional, it would just good for them to synergize their concerted action and say, okay, if the SDF is good in the northwest and southwest, okay, we can align with the SDF. You know, the PSRM is good in the Senegal, we should align with them. You know, the Salvation Party is good, good in the north, in quote, or the UNDP is good in the north, we should, and then the CDU good in the noon. This is the way the opposition is supposed to come together in an action and bury their egos and bury their, their selfish interests who they are having now to be able to come together. So we find that the opposition is clearly on the crossroads now because they do not know first who to choose, what ideology to follow, what format to follow, or what federal route to follow. They do not even know how to go about canvassing the militants that they have. Because when you look around the opposition, the only person who was actually recognizably gone around the country is Joshua Osi. But now we're asking, what impact has he created by going around the country this time around? You know, living from one leader who has been in power for over 30-something years, and talking about Nigel Fundi, and then transiting to somebody who is not very known. And again, Joshua Osi has been a loggerhead in one way or the other with some party members. And so this has an influence in the party. Okay. And I think that they have every interest to be able to lobby one another and come together and go in and present a single candidate.
Your political class, are they also at the crossroads, not knowing whether to go left, right, or forward? Do you have a clear picture of where the political class today stands, Prof. Marc?
Thank you, Mr. Liu, for that question. You see, for a very long period of time, I have actually been asking this question if Cameroon actually have political parties. That notwithstanding, we have a lot of names and you can actually measure them to close to about 300 and something of them. The question is, what effect are they having on the ground when it comes to politics itself? Which part are they presenting to the people which actually can provoke them to follow? Who is the person who is actually willing to sacrifice in order to see that Cameroonians get somebody who can stand, who can actually become their candidate tomorrow? Which political party has accepted to lay down its ego in order to unite with which one, or might be to even form a coalition? At the end of the day, we realize, Mr. Liu, that we are having a serious problem with the political landscape in Cameroon, where individuals are interested in themselves and not the people. Individuals are interested in showing up, not for the good of the nation. You see, if we can go back to look at what politics stands for, because when I look at politics, it's all about management. It is all about administration. But when we look at what is presented to us, one time I had to raise an issue, and I was informed by somebody that political parties in Cameroon are like businesses and are run for individual benefits. So I got a little bit disturbed because I thought political parties were meant to be kind of liberal ground where individuals come to contribute ideas and then work, see how we can bring in the different ideas and work towards a particular goal. I realized that it was a personal business. So most individuals who enter this issue enter with a purpose of wanting to gain something. And that is why at the end of the day, Mr. Leo, they are actually at the crossroads. Mm-hmm. They do not know exactly where they should go, neither where to take the people to. And the worst part of it is, if you ask me that question, that need for profound overhaul, I will be very proud to say yes. Mm-hmm. There is need for a total overhaul of the so-called politics or political parties in Cameroon for a creation of something that might be a direction for Cameroonians. But who is going to be that individual who is going to do this? Who is going to permit us? Because every day you see parties are being born, one after another, every day. And the question is, after being born, where are they leading Cameroonians to? And that is why you see a lot of voters apathy. And that is why you see lukewarmness. And that is why you see a lot of people very passive when it comes to politics. And as a result of that, Cameroonians prefer to just stay behind complaining and actually just not having hope for anything anymore. If you look at it, Cameroonians have lost hope. And they are in a state where they are asking. For example, when you start telling people you people need to go register so that you can vote, people need to go register to have voters card. Some people ask you this question: who are we going to vote for? Because they claim that all the political leaders that they have seen, none of them is qualified to carry them anywhere. And if I might join my voice, I will tell you that what they are saying is true. Why? Because most of those whom people expected to be able to carry them towards somewhere were seasonal. This came in and motivated young Cameroonians. They were excited, and then after they got a little bit to eat, they sat behind. A lot of Cameroonians got discouraged. You see, today we are struggling to compare the situation of Senegal with Cameroon and trying to say, oh, might be the dream of Senegal. What happened in Senegal recent can happen in Cameroon. I will remind Cameroonians, this thing took more than 12 years. This political party that is in power right now was formed 12 years ago, and the vigorous nature in which these individuals fought and expressed their desires to lead the nation remained in the air for 12 good years, meaning that Senegalese were aware of every move. They knew these two guys who are presently today leading that nation. They saw a clear alternative, Mr. Leo. Thank you for that. A clear alternative.
Now, being at the crossroad, because we see persons who have been on the political scene for 30 years and seemingly, is it that they are hiding what they have to offer, or they're waiting for the CPDM to kill the stage, or even within the CPDM, or is it that the CPDM is too strong for, it looks like something is not right?
Yes, certainly something is not right. At times, I feel that the opposition in Cameroon is under a spell. Something is seriously not right somewhere. But before I come to your question, I want to express my disappointment that on the whole of this platform, despite your personal efforts, there is no representation of any political party. Yeah, and Cameroonians should be taking note that these are the kind of politicians.
Remember who are, the day we were supposed to discuss. No, I'm talking to Dr. Ndimancho. Remember the day we were supposed to discuss, or we gave opportunity for a particular political party.
No, let's be sincere. SDF. Let's be clear. Let's be clear about it.
You are not able to say anything.
No, yeah. Let's be clear about it. It was
today
SDF.
We invited almost every.
You even went. I am saying that, Mr. Leo. Yesterday,
a convention that they were supposed to take the.
I read on your platform yesterday, a platform that is followed worldwide, that you needed people of all political parties to be on this platform today. And I'm shocked. When you hinted me in the morning, I was like asking myself what has happened. So I want to really express my disappointment, and especially that there is a party that just ended a convention, and I expected to have seen them on the platform sell their political ideology to the world. What are we saying? Cameroonians are taking note. Some of us have been called all of names because we took the courage to mount platforms and say what we think should be the way forward for Cameroon. That said, talking about crossroads, this topic is coming 2 years after my declaration on this very platform that if Cameroon was in a state where the well-being of the citizens politically was at the center of the politics in Cameroon, all these Njangi groups called political parties have been dissolved. But unfortunately, it is serving a purpose to somebody somewhere. That is why more of these Njangi groups have been created in the name of political parties. Let's be sincere to ourselves. What has been stopping the opposition in Cameroon from talking to each other? Have you not seen that they fight each other 24 on 24 while Mr. Bia and his people are happily enjoying power in Yaoundé? It remains untouched. Whereas these people, there are some names that I just started getting them last week as politicians. Surely and certainly because 2025 is by the corner. It is very, very disappointing, Mr. Leo, because in other countries like Nigeria, we saw what happened with the coalition 2 years before the elections. In Senegal, the people rallied behind those who were ready to die for the people, not behind those who were ready to abandon the people halfway. The people in Senegal came up as Jesus Christ leading his sheep right to the end. Who is that person in Cameroon who is ready to take Cameroonians right to the end? I am telling you, it is disappointing. And just imagine, how do we blame youth from failing to engage in politics, whereas those who are supposed to lead these youths into the right political path have they themselves become total failures? They have taught the youths two things: chop your own, I chop my own. That is the kind of politics done in Cameroon. And when we are into this kind of politics, monetized politics, where we have abandoned competitive politics, then we are in a total farce. Because just imagine, in other countries like Senegal, when people talk about competitive politics, they talk about ideologies. Bigger ideologies subsiding weaker ideologies. But in Cameroon, politics have been monetized. Everybody goes because, one, I need a connection to go to ENS. I can get a godfather here. I want to go to Enam. I want to do this. Mr. Leo, after 2 years and you are coming up with this topic today, I maintain my stand. If there is a magic one that can be done in Cameroon, like Prof Marc asked, who will do it? Because the person authorizing the legalization of these Njangi groups in our party is the person benefiting from it. He has discovered that there was a crack, and to further fragment this crack, let more political parties be created, so that when there are more fighting amongst them, the person that was supposed to be fought by everybody will rest while you people keep fighting yourself. So this is where we find ourselves. And I think if the paradigm was to be changed or shifted in the political arena in Cameroon, let there be a complete overhaul of these things we call politics in Cameroon.
Tah Mai Javis, you are a politician, you are a journalist who you have been following politicians since the holding of the last municipal, legislative, presidential elections. When you look clearly which political party tells you that I know where I am coming from and this is where I'm going to.
I must start by saying that I express I join my voice in the room, the gratitude of disappointment to see that we have difficulties in Cameroon to get political stakeholders to come and share their vision. In the East African community, especially when we know that elections are coming. In Kenya, in Kenya, politicians actually pay TV stations to have their representative on their platform because they know that it is a vision they are coming to share. The same thing in Nigeria, politicians run behind journalists to get their voices heard, but in Cameroon it's the other way around. However, let me come in context where we are facing the situation. I'm very happy with the topic you've brought because it is reminding us about the very fabric of democracy and asking ourselves if Cameroon was actually ready for multi-party politics, taking us back to the book written by Francis Nyamjo, in which he captioned the different practices of journalism, which he re-pointed the political space. Let me give you an example. In America, there are several political parties in America, but there are one thing is sure: we have the left and the right. That is, you may be different, but they have ideology that are left, ideology that are right. Now, if this party, if the right joined with people that look at the ideology to be the conservative, the left join with people who see that they are the liberals, that people who adopting time. And so when
what obtains in France,
yes, in France, I was coming to that. You have and even in America, you have the extreme left and you have the extreme right. Now, but this doesn't too much fragment them. They have their common values. Now you come to France, the same thing. The far right, the right, the far left, the left. There's a protest now ongoing in France where they are afraid of the far right. They say the extreme right is fast gaining ground, and if it gains ground, it means that France will become a pure conservative nation. Now come to Nigeria. Let's look at Nigeria, for example. The similar thing is playing in Nigeria. In Nigeria, you are almost having the APC that is looking at the conservativeness, and you have PDP and Labour Party that are talking about the liberalization of things. You go to Senegal. The same vision is playing out. Let me ask in Cameroon, what vision? Do we have left? Do we have right? Do we have center? Do we have ideology? We don't have ideology.
We may have, but the problem is our political parties selling
this a unified ideology, an ideology that tells people that this is where that tells people this is where we are going and this is what we have in common. For example, the left, it means that the woman have an item of liberal, Dr. Ndimancho have an item of liberal, so let us join together, we form the left. Now Prof. Marc may have a more liberal policy, so he may join with us but disagree with some policies, which means he focus on the far left, which means he's the extreme left. Now, but when it comes to some basic fabric of the nation, they align themselves together to push a vision, but in different areas that they disagree. But in our country, we don't know whether we are left or whether we are right. You ask SDF, what is SDF ideology? You have RCRM, what is the ideology? You ask PCRM, what is the ideology? You will not be easily. You cannot easily determine whether it is left, right, center. Now the question now we're asking is, what is the road that the common man must follow? In fact, the politics in Cameroon, we are in the Florida axis, which is rolling. You don't know which road is leading to which road, but it is simple because all these political parties, they have something in common that is the same. Have you taken the manifesto of Reform Party? Look with SDF, they have basic manifesto that these parties can come together. Look with other political parties, they have like a now movement of Barrister Keramuna. If you look at all this movement, they have ideologies that 60% will give them a left or a right. 60%. Then we start from there. That okay, we have 60% things in common that we have agreed. Now we have a 40 in that we don't agree. Let us now start with the 60 that we agree and form an ideology. This ideology will not give us a ground for us to have a political debate, but we don't. We think that it is these 300 and something political groups that will come and liberate, and the confidence with me is what is killing us. The confidence that they have, that all these political parties have about winning election next year, is what I don't understand where they are getting that confidence from. approach any of these persons, they will tell you that they are already in A2D. In fact, they will tell you how they are in A2D. But let me give you an example of what is happening in Nigeria. Peter Obi did not win the election. But did Peter Obi stop his campaign? No, he did not stop. Immediately after Osubajo was declared the winner, Peter Obi continued with his nationwide tour, and he's still doing that day in, day out. In 2018, we had the presidential election. What happened in 2019? Right following, where were the political stakeholders who ran for 2018 presidential election? How to win a presidential election, a party will need to tour this nation for 2 years. The same thing in Kenya, when President William Ruto, who was the deputy president under Kenyatta, when they had problems, what happened was Ruto toured the nation 2 times back to back, meaning that Ruto came to Douala 2 times, he went to Bonamusadi 2 times. Of the time he comes to Douala, he visited all the neighborhoods. The similar approach that we are having in our political system is failing, and one thing for sure is because we are looking at each other. Our opposition party is not only at crossroads, it is at a disappearing road, because you see a system where there is either SDF attacking CRM attacking APA sit attacking CPP, this one attacking this one. Then you see a CPD, a man fold his arms in a panel and looks at them and like they don't know what they are doing. But the question is, as I hear people say, what is the way forward? Do we need an overhaul? We don't only need an overhaul, we need an eradication of these parties. What we need right now is a system that can look at the left and the right, where we can have a vision and ideology. Currently, right now, there's what we call in economy competitive cost advantage and absolute cost advantage. Competitive cost advantage is that advantage that a country enjoys the benefit of producing a particular good within limited resources, producing a particular good without wastage of resources, but gain more. And absolute cost is when you produce 2 or more good more than another nation. Now, if you look at this very well, none of these political parties have absolute cost advantage over each other. SDF does not have absolute cost advantage over CRM, meaning that SDF ideology does not and cannot produce effectively better than that of CRM. So why can't all them merge together and see how they can now look at the common front? Again, the sad reality here is that most of these parties still believe in the old system of politics. We are in a rapidly changing world. The landscape is changing. We are talking about AI. We are talking about different methods of campaigns. They will tell you that no, you cannot hold rallies, you cannot move. What has happened to television? Have they not been invited here on several occasions? Or have they also been stopped from having interviews on TV to talk about their vision? What has happened also to the social media platform? Have they or they needed the SDO authorization to come on this panel and talk? They will say, no, the SDO, we don't have authorization. Is this not an authorization for you to come and talk, share your political vision objectively?
Okay. So many messages are coming in from across the nation with regards to the topic that is going on My Media Prime TV out here. Yes, Dr. Ndimancho, how do we explain that, like, I don't know who raised that since the holding of the last presidential elections, 2018, we've not seen active politicking, and we even saw persons who said, okay, they were ready for elections, but now that we are moving towards elections, many of them have disappeared. Is it that they are strategizing behind the scenes? And when you look at the resources available, do they have what it takes to attain where they want to get to?
Yeah, this is the principal problem that the oppositions have, finances. And it's because the issue has been misconstrued in Cameroon. People think that you get to politics in order to get money. Have money. That is the thing. This is the confusion that we have in Cameroon. Meanwhile, in other countries, people get into politics in order to give in the first place. I want to take an example of Liberia with George Weah. Those who follow the elections of George Weah. George Weah was not a match to Salif Johnson. He was no match. But what happened is that funds were galvanized, home and abroad, and George Weah, between elections, was able. He tried the first time, failed. The second time, he said, I'm not going to fail. And helicopters were flying the skies of Liberia to the hinterlands. Meet the people tour was the issue between elections. And this is where he made his impact. They knew that Because he succeeded from where Helen Johnson failed. Helen Johnson was that kind of a president of a city, the elitist kind of president who didn't know about the people's outer problem in the hinterland, and he did that. Now, when we come to Cameroon, we have had political parties who, and sometimes many people have been asking questions why this and how this and this person got the funds to register the party. Many of us have asked those questions. And it is that in Cameroon, sometimes parties are created to fight other opposition parties. This is what is happening. That you find that somebody, because they want to fragilize a party, we have seen this happen in the SDF. I know that sometimes people think that me quoting the SDF so much is because I favor the SDF so much. It's a legendary party. And some of us, they grew knowing politics because of SDF. We cannot forget that. It's so nostalgic for me. I remember, in the early days, when we grew in secondary school. Early 90s. This is the only party that we could see in the Anglophone region whereby he made an impression in us. The first political leader that I saw in my life was Ndimancho Michael. It was Ndimancho Michael. Who else can I talk about? Should I be talking about somebody I do not know? I'm talking about the person I know who came right into my compound in the village and talked to us, talked to my parents. That was the party of the kitchen. That was a leader of the fireside. And how can you argue with that kind of a leader? And that is because of his charisma, of his mantra, power to the people, and equal opportunities. Imagine that kind of a leader comes up today. With the misery we're having today, no electricity, no water, low living cost, and hunger. People are suffering every day. When I cry like this, it's not because I'm really supporting the present status quo of the SDF. It's because I'm just being nostalgic of how the SDF was. And many people have said it so often. Look at the Liberian, a book shopkeeper who was not even up to any level of education, that was able to garner this kind of support with that charisma. What more of professors that we have today in who run political parties? What more of PhD? What more of huge business people? And we see that they are not able to give us even 1/10 of what Ndimancho Michael gave us, and that is my cry. And you see that the issue is between elections in Cameroon. Look at 2018. Now we are getting to 2025. The only thing that a party that is so like this something within election, I saw a parliamentarian who built a plank bridge, or I don't know how you call it, a Tata bridge, and then there was a female, and there was a report about it. I also saw the SDF, they painted a small Tata building there in Daido. A new Daido there, and then there were branches in that they have created something. That is nothing. That is not something for a project like a party like the SDF. You just go and paint a small building that has been built by the government, and then you think that you have done something. The party needs to create initiative for the community. The party needs, in this period of misery, the party needs to bring the youth in. That is what we are asking. Between election, what are the youth doing? You are crying, the party, the manifestos that the party has to embody how they are going to take care of the youth in times like this. Because we are living very difficult times. Nobody can go against what I'm saying, that in Cameroon, we are living survival of the fittest. And therefore, in period like this, they are the youth you take care of. They are the women that you take care of. They are the old people that you take care of. You hear about scandals. You don't even find any political party coming out to talk about it. We have had many scandals in Cameroon. But they are only waiting that the given time, the appointed time should come for them to go on the presidency. And it is because they have gotten it wrongly.
With which they speak it there.
They call it, I'm telling you, somebody tells you that we are going to win the presidency, and you don't even see the members. I remember we sat here on the program the other day, and there's a political party leader who said we are going to win this election. And now he talked with some militants after the program. When I was going out of the program, the militants started calling me and said, we are representing Bamida, we are representing Southwest, we are representing, because he had talked to those militants to call us and tell us that what their president is saying is true, that the party has had a lot of members, a lot of militants, and they are going to win the election next year. Who are they fooling? They are not fooling. They are fooling themselves. So what we are saying is, elections is about what you can do for the people.
At crossroads today, they say too much of spices spoil the soup now. Yes, can we say that we are also not too sure of where people can go to because of the so many existing parties in Cameroon today?
That is perfectly true. You see, the fact that every day a political party is born, every day a political party is born, has led the people to a state of confusion. And not just that, the fact that most of them are born and remain on piece of papers. Some of them do not even have offices. Some of them, you don't know how to contact them. So a lot of persons only know those political parties that in one way or the other participated in the last presidential elections. And not even all. Just those whom, for example, kind of shook the place during that period of time. And that's why if you want to talk about political parties in Cameroon, for example, if you want to, the Cameroonians, you ask them, they will tell you they know of CPDM, they will tell you they know of SDF. The other name might be PCRN because of Cabral Libi. Kamto, they don't even know the name of the party, they will tell you of Kamto. So, at the end of the day, you realize that you have MRC, CPDM, SDF, you have PCRN, which stand tall among the parties. But at the same time, these opposition parties, Mr. Liu, for the past, since the last election, have done little or nothing to garner the people around them, to kind of encourage young people to come close. If you ask, they'll tell you they are doing a lot of voters registration, they are doing groundwork, they are in this and that. But the question is, who are those that are seeing them do it? A lot of Cameroonians abuse it, doing one thing or the other. During evening periods like this, they sit by their TV to watch to see if something will come up. Are you on TV selling your ideas? No, that's where we have a problem. And so, ask a young Cameroonian, do you have a party where you want to? They don't even care. Why? Because the state of affairs in Cameroon is actually at their necks. And for that reason, most of them are fighting on how to have what to eat. You don't talk politics to them and you are unable to provide. So you can't tell me that you are keeping your political agenda behind and then expecting that Cameroonians should follow you. Of recent, I spoke with one political leader and I was shocked to hear what he told me, that he was waiting that by end of June, he can now start exposing his... I said, what? You want to win an elections in 2025 and you are waiting for the end of June 2024 to start exposing. Are you sure of what you are? He said, and he is confident that he's going to win the elections in 2025. I looked at him and I told him, brother, I am a practical person and very sincere. I don't see any way ahead with that kind of strategy you want to use. Then he told me, but what you just said is true. I think it is time for me to launch. I said, you are already too late. Because after you participated in the last presidential election, nobody knows that you are still existing. Nobody knows you. At least some others even participated and later on went in, won parliamentary seats and people can still hear of them. But you and your party went silent. And so nobody knows that you are there. And it was like, okay, but that's the state of things. I said, that is Cameroon. And you do not expect that Cameroonians should get up tomorrow and just fall behind you. There is no magic that you will use to pull Cameroonians behind you coming at the end of the day. Cameroonians are not eager to elect somebody to A2D. Let's be sincere. They are not. If you ask for change in Cameroon, Cameroonians are not even ready for that change. Let's be sincere about it. I've seen it and I can confess it that Cameroonians are not ready for change. And that is why we are so passive over everything that happens in the nation. We can criticize from behind. We can talk, go to social media and shout on people, intimidate them, but there is nobody that really wants change. At the end of the day, the person who wants change has not sold himself enough, has not been willing to make the people see that there is a change that is needed. We only talk this change is coming. You know, when I'm talking like this, a lot of young Cameroonians are like, Prof, what are you saying? Because I've been able to tell them that change is coming. Change is coming. Let's go to and register. We have been fighting for that. Yes. But who are those politicians who are going to stand up and tell us the time for that change has come? Oh, brother, you just spoke and brought that nostalgia of the 90s, where we went to the streets, we participated in rallies where we were still young people. We're not even at the age of voting, but we're participating in rallies. And when
I don't talk.
And I remember
this.
and just imagine the zeal that young Cameroonians had, and people were willing to go vote. But look at it today. After multipartyism was born in 1990, we are talking of more than 300 parties in Cameroon, but we do not have a political figure that we can look up to.
Okay.
What has happened with politics in Cameroon? Have we gone to sleep? I think that if we are going to make politics become real, then we must actually do the thing the way it is supposed to be done. Politics is not for politicians. If you are a politician and hoping to use politics to make more money, Cameroonians know that enough, and they are not willing to follow you. So we think it is time to show us the path so that we can walk with you. Cameroonians are ready. They are ready. But when I say we are not ready for change, it's because nobody is showing us the path for change.
Okay,
so this time, do what is needed. Thank you, Mr. Liu.
Yes, how do we start the overhauling process? Do we need to get to, how do we even tell some people to stop politics and maybe some unnecessary parties? How do we really change the political system? Because I want all of us to answer this. If your father spent a lot of money and you're in class 7 for 30 years, and you are still there, and you are convincing your father that you can.
So what I'm going to say is,
no, don't call them.
No, I'm not calling. So what I'm going to say is, it's a bit difficult,
okay,
but it's real. Overhauling will be very difficult because it is business to some.
Okay.
Overhauling will be very difficult because it's an opportunity for some. Overhauling will be very difficult because it is helping somebody, someone, somewhere to stay there forever. So I am thinking that we need absolutely the Spirit of God to touch Cameroonians, to be sincere. I am thinking that because if we were to look at it with our physical eyes, because I'm thinking like I said, the opposition is under a spell. It could be expelled. We know in African tradition, the eyes of the God is here. You can understand. A father can get angry and throw a spell on the son if the son went wayward. So I'm thinking that if the opposition is under a spell, the spell is coming from somewhere. It is the collective responsibility of all Cameroonians to think towards change. And to think towards change, I have always thought that if every Cameroonian actually believed in change, there is something they should have been doing. This idea of saying, no, I don't want to go to television because I might be arrested after the program. This idea of saying, no, I don't want to play politics. No, I want to see my children grow. The idea of saying, no, my farm is enough for me. My business is enough for me. This is what has killed Cameroonians. We need to look at Cameroon as the only heritage that we have. We need to look at Cameroon as the only legacy that we shall leave behind. We need to look at Cameroon beyond our bank accounts. We need to look at Cameroon beyond our certificates. We need to look at Cameroon beyond our positions, Mr. Liu. If all of these are not done genuinely by every individual from each angle of Cameroon, beginning from asking questions, what have I contributed towards the growth of Cameroon as far as change is concerned? We are going nowhere. One person cannot change Cameroon. That is why we are thinking that the voices of all Cameroonians matter. It is true, we don't know who we shall vote for, but I maintain my stand. Every Cameroonian should start by procuring a voter's card. We don't know. One lady from Ginicom wrote a book, and in that book she mentioned one phrase that took my attention. that caught my attention. When preparations meet with an opportunity, it gives birth to success. That is B. Marceline. And when you liken it to what I'm trying to say is that Cameroonians need change, but fear of unknown has put them on the same spot. But I want to think, if everybody goes out, get registered, and is ready, like I once said on this platform, the only revolution I can take the front line is a revolution for people with their voters card. Their votes have been tampered with. But if you ask me to go out on a Friday in black, I will say no, because you have been going out, nothing has happened. If you ask me to stand up for Cameroon, I will say no, you have been standing up, nothing has been happening. So I am thinking that it still remains, it comes back to us. And thank God my media prime is there. We have to keep educating and sensitizing our people. Who said it was going to be very easy? Nobody. It is difficult. But can we successfully go through this difficult moment so that tomorrow we all rejoice together? Can we keep this ego? Let's just say maybe by 2025, God is preparing a magic personality for us to vote. What if that time comes and somebody springs up and then you don't have the voters card? We have to get prepared so that when that preparation meets with an opportunity, it will give birth to the change that Cameroon has so much wanted. And for this to happen, I'll be calling on the youth squarely. The old men have already lived their life, Mr. Liu. Those who have embezzled enough for the generation and the next generation of their families, they don't have a problem. Think of what you, an average man, or you, a poor man, will leave behind for your children if you don't stand up to contribute to the change that Cameroon wants. So, in a nutshell, overhauling parties in Cameroon remains a wishful thinking, because that is what we are thinking for the benefit of Cameroon. But those who are creating, to those who own those parties, is a plus to them. So we can only appeal on the conscience of Cameroonians to think beyond just sitting, criticizing, watching, and sitting thinking that miracle will come from somewhere. Just imagine if in this platform tonight you had 4 politicians, 4 different political manifestos would have been dissected tonight on this platform, and Cameroonians would have been preparing their minds to see that, look, this man is talking sense. I think if there's a coalition between these 4, these are the points that will cause us, that will attract us to go out and vote. But where are they?
Okay, where are they? Tah Mai Javis, if you were to propose something to the political class that has been existing for 10-15 years without a tangible result, you ask them to go back to the drawing board and change what?
It begins by establishing a concrete ideology that meets the fabric of the nation and the socio-demographic factors of the nation. For example, no nation has exactly or the same socio-demographic factors. When we talk about socio-demographic factors, we are talking about the culture, the age, the things that identify the people as people of a particular society. Cameroon's society is different from Nigeria. Yes, Nigeria has its own factors, but we can also not also copy. But there's something that we can actually emulate, which is called the field of experience. That field of experience is what brings us all on the same portal. And what brings us all is the ideology. Let me give you an example. Look at the Economic Freedom Party, the EFF, in South Africa. What is their ideology? Economic empowerment. Look at CPDM. What is the ideology from when President Biya came into power? It was the rigor and moralization. Rigor, in a sense, means a system that they will fight against corruption, that things will be done in respect of text. Moralization, that people who are working must work with their conscience, and that it is under that those 2 principles that the nation can develop. You look at Ahijo's vision was based on green revolution. That green revolution was the fabric on agriculture. You go now to look at the Peter Obi's party, the Labour Party. Their vision is on economy. The economy and protecting local market. They were not only focused about democracy. Their main focus was on economy. You come the same way you come to the man Senegal. Senegalese man has a principle of Pan-Africanism. His vision was Pan-Africanism, that liberate economic liberation of Senegal, then we can now develop our country. Let me come to our beloved darling Cameroon. Which party among all these parties have one vision, one fabric that we can hold on and say, yes, this is where we are going to? I think that's where they should start. That's where they should start, by identifying, okay, if we are of this party, our parties have a good number of policies, manifestos, good number, but they don't have, all of them are just a bit of sub 1, sub 2, sub 3, sub 4, sub 5, sub 6. They don't have one general center focus that I can say, bam, this is this party is on rigor and moralization. Biya kept on changing its policies. President Biya, he moved now from rigor and moralization now to the great ambition, great realization. That those are, we may call it slogan, but these are things that you can actually define. That, okay, this is what we are going to, this is how we are going to. But let me look at all these other political parties that went for 2018. Which vision did they table on the floor? The man in Munya wants his vision is agriculture. What are you promising him? The star man in Munya share the same vision with the man in the West.
Yeah, but those things are contained in their party manifestos.
No, but they are in the party manifesto, not well captured. They are selling a lot in their manifesto. They are selling economy, they are selling agriculture, they are selling justice, they are selling politics. In a nation, look at one thing and focus on that. Let me give you an example. Let's go to America. Look at the parties. They have their own vision. One, the Democrats are focused on protecting, the Republicans are focusing on protecting the home industries. That where they want the policy of isolationism. That let's protect our home industries and ensure that we limit import. The Republicans, the Democrats are saying that no, we must liberalize the system whereby we must do business with other persons. Come to China. China has one thing that they do, technology and agriculture, too. Technology and agriculture. Go to Japan, technology and agriculture. Come to Cameroon, what do we have? It's a political party that drives those visions. Those parties must have those visions. Go to Germany. They have a particular thing that they produce, that these parties drive the vision. But in our own darling nation, sir, what do we have that we can drive? We are master of all. So they have, yes, but they should limit, forget about justice or this. Identify one that you think that you can start there and it fall. Have one, just take agriculture, just agriculture. If you can focus on agriculture, the rest you can now fix the rest. We understand that if you are president, you not only focus on agriculture. But what is that main vision, main thing that you want to implement on day one that we can hold you accountable for 2 years? This is why I would say justice. Take all their manifesto. Justice, democracy, agriculture, all is captured there. Yes, nice. But can you actually achieve all that in 5-7 years?
Okay. Dr. Ndimancho, if you were to advise today the political scene in Cameroon, what would you tell them?
First of all, I will address the militants at the base, because it should be an auto-examination, and also the people should be able to examine those political parties and leaders. Now, you know that the issue of manifesto is too theoretical. Yeah. To me, I usually preach that, because not everybody, my mother, if you bring the manifesto of even the CPDM to my mother, what does that mean to her? It doesn't mean anything to her. And that's why I usually tell people that in government, when the government talks about project that is carrying out, the people need to feel the project. They don't need to see. When you keep on talking about Lompanga and Memvele, what my mother wants to know in the village is to see electricity. When you keep telling and singing on radio and newspaper that this is a huge project for Cameroon. Lompanga, you're going to create jobs, you're going to create electricity, you're going to do, and we do not see it being done, mean that there's a problem. And that's why I have a problem with manifestos. I don't talk very much about manifestos when it comes to policies of the base. Is that the people should judge the leaders. If you're a leader who has been for 15 years and you are not able to win a single councillor, no councillor, no mayor in the village, please, those are wasted votes you are giving to the person. No, even that person voting you is a criminal in itself, because your votes, you are wasting them. And that's the way the people need to judge you, because you cannot be for 15 years and don't win even a council seat in your village, but you keep on and you keep singing to the people, and the people keep on. Let me tell you, when we talk about electorate, they are not fools here. Sometimes people think that these people in the villages are fools. They know exactly who is a leader. When you see maybe the civilian keeps on, maybe, well, I will not really say winning, but at least at some point, they are credible in their this thing because they come, they give to the people, well, because they are using the government money. Let's accept this. Let's accept that they use the money and they bribe the people, they do this or they do that. At least they pretend that they are doing something and the people see that they are pretending. But we have political parties don't even pretend. You have political leaders who enter the village, they say empty hand, not the carry, you cannot carry an empty man like somebody told a man of God. You can't preach to us every day, you can't preach, you can't preach, you get none of you for chop. You only can preach. Now you with the chop, that is what the people in the villages are talking about. Because that they will not vote for you if there is nothing you can do for. So if their manifesto deals with the section of education, the section of agriculture, the section of engineering, let the people feel this within their communities that these things are being done. You don't even need to talk to them. Even the Bible, Prof, Apostle, the Bible said action speaks louder than words. You don't need to come and preach to the people what you have written in your book. You need to let it be seen as being done. Even, if you are even fooling them, let them see something being done.
Cannot light the land,
can put it on the table, and then you expect to see light in the house. There is no way. And therefore, the first thing is that the people should abandon these leaders. If the people had the possibility to abandon the leaders, let them away. Let them. Can you imagine a political party having 0.00999% in the elections? That party will not continue in the next election. So I think that we are all complacent to what is happening. Sure. Let the people abandon them. Okay. And this is what we are preaching for in the next coming elections. We are asking to register massively and be able to punish those political parties who have been fooling them. People come and talk to them. They go to Ewane, they receive literary gifts, and they are bribed. And now they come back and talk to the people. It doesn't know what the people are interested on. Invest in the youth, invest in the future, invest in capacity building. This is what we want, because every youth that has been built, a capacity has been built, will recognize you. Sometimes most elections are being done. You know why Nijon Fundi? I'll keep on quoting Nijon Fundi. He was, prosperous and progressive because he used the women. And how did he use the women? Because he looked for those things that the women, he empowered the women locally. That is why most churches, Apostle, you see, bear with me, that most churches are women who are there, because women carry the message more than any other person. A woman will leave church here and continue with your preaching in the quarter. This is what pastor said. This is what apostle said. This is what general overseer said. This is what happened. And therefore, when you empower the women in the local development, you are simply indirectly empowering the party, and the women can take your message all around the nation. And that is why I usually tell people about why Northerners, especially in Northern Nigeria, they vote even more. They vote more because they work always with their radios. They listen to what is going on in their community. This person has done it, and they talk in their local languages, not their local radios. That is why even Northerners who are even not really intellectuals, they usually vote more than anybody. Even in Cameroon, we talk about the North. Yes. That the North has the highest vote. People don't even know. It is because they have empowered this radio, community radio stuff, and during this period, they talk in their dialect. And when they talk in their, what are they saying? This man, this is what he did here. This man, this is what he did here. This political party, this is what he did here. If not, parties like Salvation Party will not be having anything in the parliament. And this is what we mean. Let us face the facts.
We are doing content analysis here. We know the political parties in Cameroon. We know most of them have existed since the 2000s, or even before the 2000s. We know what they have been able to accomplish. Now, if you have gone, or we have had 6 or 7 elections, and you are unable to even go for elections, and today you want to tell people that you can win a presidential election, sincerely, are we being fair? Because this is also where the problem is. Where you already know that somebody cannot win a municipal election.
So he wants to win the
presidency. Yes, and then you are supporting. Yeah. Don't we need to redefine this and tell people that, please, these guys are not fit, or they are going to play some magic?
There's a lot of deception. That's the reason why, at the end of the day, Cameroonians say politicians are liars. Why? There is a lot of deception in what is practiced today in Cameroon called politics, because people do a lot of talking with little proof. And you see, when Dr. Ndimancho even mentioned the fact of not being able to win a council election for being as an existing party for more than 15 years, the question is, what about those who even won that council election? What did they do with it? There are individuals who have become parliamentarians, and the moment they became parliamentarians, they disappeared and remained in Yaoundé. And you only hear of them when elections want to come again. Those are the kind of people that we encourage young Cameroonians, go register and punish them. So that at the end of the day, people should stop this deception. You should not think that might be when it's election time, you can come and pretend, talk, big talk, and then go back. We do not even want to be talking about manifestos and projects. If you had a project for the past 15 years, you would have started with nothing so that the people of your constituency can see and believe that you had something you wanted to give them, but you lack the financial capacity. And at the end of the day, they will join you to make sure it is realized. But you do not bring anything to the ground. There is no project that is only spoken on papers. Projects should be executed on the ground. So if you can speak about a project for more than 25 years and nobody is seeing a proof of it, then you are a liar. And I think that is what Cameroonians should look into. For a very long period of time, we have given our ears to a lot of talking and little action. Action is not something that needs to be discussed. It speaks for itself. When somebody sits, you do something, the person sees it done, he goes for it. So I think it is time for Cameroonians to get to be wise enough. We have seen a lot of persons say we are politicians. They created political parties, and today they come tell you that you are. In fact, some have even lobbied and asked that you should become a this and this of their party because they have seen you on TV. The question is, why are they not on TV in order to also sell these ideas? They want you, whom they have seen on TV, to come sell their ideas for them. Those are some of the things that make me at times and I ask questions. When they were going to create a political party, what was the agenda in their minds? You see, it comes back to tell us, Cameroonians think that, Cameroonian politicians think that politics is a means on how to become rich. But I will be blatant here. You don't use politics to become rich. If you want to become a politician, you need to be rich before you begin politics. Yes. Okay. So that you should be able to do what you say you want to do for the people. You should not wait so that when you are elected before you can now start doing. You begin before the people vote you to go ahead. Let me
read this. Good evening, Mr. Leo and everyone in the studio. I like your program. Can you imagine that, Mr. Leo, that if they were to be going to the polling stations tomorrow for voting, I would not know who to vote. I feel like all the political parties in Cameroon is too superior, that is many of them want to be like, I will dethrone the CPDM. They don't have a vision for this nation, and if these people win, the people will suffer. I'm Isaac Ngwayi. I'm watching from Cambe, a Form 2 student. That is, a Form 2 student says that they are, and severally we have had certain similar programs. Many persons say today they will not know who to vote. Yes. Is it surprising?
No, it's
that
not. It's not surprising.
We have political leaders, we have political parties, but so many persons are still very confused.
No, there's something we should think here. No one should be surprised. And when we say we have political leaders, it's not true. We have political hits. We don't yet have leaders in Cameroon, in the political circles. When you talk of leadership is somebody who is ready to take risks, to carry his people right to where the promised land is. We have not yet seen that visionary in Cameroon who is able to. That is, We have people who are sloganeering in the name of politics in Cameroon. Every day they come up with some have even become pastors. They have those of reflections every day. Yet they don't reflect on how to take Cameroon forward. They reflect morning, afternoon, evening. The only thing they don't reflect on is how to take Cameroon out of its quagmire. It's talking about politics in Cameroon is becoming very difficult. Yeah. At times,
listen, we really need a change, but the problem is the person that will lead us to that change. All we practice now is hungry politics.
But yes, that's a great observation. It comes back to what Doctor and Prof said a while ago, and I am just adding my voice that I don't know. Like I said, monetized politics in Cameroon has taken hold of many minds. Unfortunately, the only way to even get the little crumbs is to adhere to the person you claimed you were fighting, which has made it so difficult and has exposed a lot of them. In the developed countries, people who have made enough wealth are looking for where to pump this wealth. That's when they join politics. Joe Biden was not a pauper. Donald Trump was not a pauper. In Cameroon, you see people who barely ride their two-wheel bikes, they want to become president in Ethiopia. I say it is sad. It's very sad. And it's not only sad, it is the way they take to fool Cameroonians every day that no, I will be in Ethiopia. And we don't want any coalition. I will do it by myself. I will take out Mr. Bia for it. And we will do it. So, Mr. Liu, Cameroon was not blessed with politics. Other nations might have been blessed with good politicians. But I think if I were asked today whether politics is a curse or a blessing to Cameroon, I would say politics is a curse. It's not a blessing. Because all along, starting from the person who is even there today, constitute the problems that Cameroon is living for the past 42 years. Yet, nobody has been very intelligent. We see people defending PhDs every day, thesis, professorial ranks, degrees in this very country. Yet, they have been unable to diagnose the political problem of Cameroon and how to overcome it. They have been unable to fashion out measures that can take Cameroon from the political gutters to a clean street. Yet, we say we have politicians in Cameroon. I think somewhere somebody said, when it is above the human spirit and experience, the last judge is nature. At this point, I think if nature does not serve Cameroon, then we are just at the altar of sacrifice to those who have been pretending that they love Cameroon. For those who have been using Cameroonians as their bet in the political field, which I think they have the watches that they are holding, but God is somewhere holding the time. That time will speak very soon, because Cameroonians have suffered enough for nature and time to speak for us.
Okay, I'll take some few messages and then we continue with the program. Mr. Liu, good evening. Another very important topic. The issue at stake is not coming together by political parties in Cameroon. The leaders we have can never come together. The main reason, lack of patriotism, poverty, pride, and greed. To close this gap, we need people with charismatic and suicidal ideologies. Politicians that are ready to die for Cameroon. Late Pa Frunzi got these qualities, and we all know the impact he created. It's a shame. Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu, and to those in the studio. I think there is no way change can easily come to this country because political parties leaders are there for money, because immediately Ewane gives an envelope, they forget about the change they have been preaching. Right now, many do not know who to vote if the elections was tomorrow. Peter is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Kum Leonard and panelists in the studio. May George is watching and enjoying the program in Womb. Good evening to you, my brother George, who should be watching somewhere around GTC Junction. extend our greetings to the family. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and to all the panelists. Please, I concur with the panelists, but I have a question for them. Do they know that most Cameroonian youths are of the opinion that change cannot be arrived at with the current opposition? But why this belief? Greetings to you all in the studio. Honestly, even if I'm to vote, I don't know any party to vote for because none of them have come up to convince me. No one party in Cameroon can win elections by standing alone. Christian is writing from Bamenda. Just all the messages are similar. Current political class is not convincing. And this one says, good evening, Mr. Kum and the panelists. Please, I'm calling on your panelists to join me in the fact that it is time for a neutral candidate to be identified who is not from any political party, and we all project this person to stand as the presidential candidate for 2025, and also call on the opposition political party leaders to leave their ego and support this initiative. Please, it is time for an Anglophone president, and the man right for the job is nobody else than Dr. Apostle Ambe Valentine Gwa. Okay, Daddy Ambiance is writing there from Tico. Yes, but when you read through, persons say we no longer have confidence in the current. Yes, are they suggesting the coming up of new faces and personalities away from political parties? And if political parties across the years have not been able to make inroads, why don't they themselves think that they should locate some persons from within the civil society, bring them, and like what Peter Obi brought to the Labour Party?
Thank you very much, Mr. Liu. A leadership is just a reflection of the people. In as much as we are throwing stones on some of the political actors, we should know that they also come from a community, and they also form that fabric of the community. And if for the political class to exhibit whatever they're exhibiting is based on what the community also has set as standard. We live in a community where we praise people who embezzled money and also stone those who want to fight against those who embezzle money. And so therefore we are caught within this ambience. Let me give you an example. I would disagree briefly with what the woman said about cursed. God has blessed this nation, and God has always given this nation a green light for political parties to be united. Let me give an example. What happened during the Frekafood Minsep debacle was a green light for God gave this nation for all the opposition to unite and to show us that one vision of justice that they have been talking about. Let me give you just what happened during that period. During that period, it was a period where we saw how opposition party, for once, agreed with the government to insult Samuel Eto'o. Why? Because they said Eto'o did not vote for the opposition in 2018. That's their reason. These same parties, some of these parties that have said the current regime is not respecting the constitution. Some of them, firebrand politicians, opposition, who said, Cameroon, we need change. The same persons. And the same person says, Eto'o cannot fight the government. And I put it to them. I hope that this interference will go around in election. You should not only end at Frekafood. The same person that have been castigating Elekam. The same person that have been saying Elekam is interfering. For once, agreed with interference. For once, agreed wholeheartedly with interference. So my question is, interference, should we also limit it to only to football now? No, Elekam needs to go around. Because if you are saying you are against, and this has helped us, this crisis has exposed the faces of the politicians that we had. Before now, I thought we had opposition leaders who were fighting for the respect of the rule of law. But these same persons diverted and said, no, you can never fight the government. You can never fight the government. Now, you are going for election in 2025. Do you want to fight the government with Elekam? That's my question. We all saw it on the screen how they were defending for once. You will say CPDM man arguing a CPDM man in the crisis of Frekafood. That showed you that Cameroonians actually saw and they know who they can die for. Let me tell you, Cameroonians are not stupid. You see, a lot of people were saying Eto'o should go in for election, Eto'o should go in for election. It was because Cameroonians believe that is that force whom they can now rally because they are tired of. If you see Cameroonians going for a football star, abandoning politicians, it tells you that they believe so much that football star should, if is a devil they do. than the angels that they don't know. Because how is it possible with several professors, you hear names? It now brings us to what Professor Bernard Fanon wrote in his book, the book I so much love to quote, The Genuine Intellectual. This is a book that many people should go and read. The Genuine Intellectual, in which he said an intellectual is that person that look at things from an objective position, irrespective of whether it benefits his interest or not, and stand to propagate the interest of the absolute majority based on realistic values. And he said those who don't align themselves with principles that are aimed at improving their community are intellectually dishonest. They cannot be called the genuine intellectual. Let us look at our political landscape. Can our politicians be called genuine intellectual with their several legally backed PhDs? And sometimes, put us to the question to ask whether or not our educational system is training intellectually dishonest persons. Now, the question is, you ask a question, why can the people have identified the problem, why can they not come together and pick up a leader? This is a clear call that we should make now to them. The people have one focus. Let me tell you, the man in Moyuka, the man is in Kwakwa, the man in Oku, the man in Noni, the man in Kumfudu, the man in Kefuka in Way Village, the man that is in Adamawa region share one thing in common: high price of electricity, high price of mobile money transfer, inaccurate roads, high price of water, suffer also for issue of high cost of production of national identity card that will come up in the next ahead. And there's one thing that Cameroonians also don't know. Starting from July, 30th of June is a date for us to declare our asset as looking at the personal income tax. This 30th of June, which means that as of July, you'll be paying your rent and paying 10% of that rent to the state. As of July. This is something that Cameroonians don't understand. And it's a melting point. So if we tell politicians that this is a time for them, and that is a green light for all of them not to unite, that is a preamble.
Tell them, because most are living on renters are saying, how are we going to pay? The landlords are going
to impose.
Yes.
Because the landlord will collect his 10%. Yes. Because the landlord will pay 10% of that land to the state. Now that the landlord is doing business, he also has to pay 10% of the business. So now he pays 20%. Now the incident of that tax falls on who?
Tenant.
The tenant. Now the tenant also has a tax to pay per the amount you are paying per your house. This is a preamble where politicians now are supposed to come together, the oppositions, come together and say, this is where we are. How many of them have sensitized the people? And that should have been the kicker of their ground. They are not. That is the kicker. Now the people.
If I'm telling you, are surprised about the bill.
I'm telling you, they are surprised about the bill. Yes, but this is a bill that was passed, signed, and it's going into effect this July, as of July.
I was talking with one, he asked me, where did you get information from?
As of July. Many people are not informed.
Ask me where I got information. I'm not informed. Put this in assembly. He opened his eyes and looked at me.
Many. As of 1st of July, if you are renting a house of 200,000, you have to pay 10% of that rent. If you are earning a salary of 200,000, you have to pay 10% of that salary that you are earning. So you have 20%. Now you cannot your rent itself. You pay. So this is the grammar that opposition would have used to mobilize for voters registration, but they are not using. They are not aware. Their only problem is Bia must go. Bia must go. How will Bia go? Yes, you want Bia to go. How should Bia go? And I tell you that you see this Fakafute Bako, it made us to understand that these same persons who were talking about government interference, if they are president of this country, they'll be worse than the current regime. And I am concluding here by calling on the peace-loving people of Cameroon, those who believe. Let me tell you, so we have a nonchalant attitude that they refer part of politics. The day that you don't have electricity, that's politics doing you. The day that you are traveling from Boya to Douala, you are stuck in traffic for 2 hours, that's politics doing you. The day that you go to hospital and the doctors are nonchalant, that's politics doing you. The day that you get up and you realize that prices of commodities have increased all-time high, that's politics doing you. So are you now ready to do politics? Get into your community, identify one person that you think you can, form a focus group, meet a civil society. And I also want to say that, Mr. Liu, civil society are not doing us justice. They are not doing us justice. They are not doing us justice. Like this recent finance bill, this bill on declaration, how many of these civil societies have actually educated the masses of what is happening? How many of them have actually said, okay, we civil society have identified this leader, we are making a clarion call. Let the leader reject.
When I talk the right minister and say I'm more political than...
Let the leader reject that. No, I don't want to. We have big names like Dr. Christopher Forminio with words of experience. But they have not declared their intention. We are moving into an election. When do they intend to declare their intention? Senior Barrister Keremuna, when do they intend to declare their intention? We have a good number of them. When did they intend to declare their intention? When you talk to them, they will say, no, I don't want to. Now I don't want to. No, at this moment, let's just see how it goes. And yet, like it is said that, like Professor Kingsley Nolinga ended it in his broadcast when he ended his career as journalist. He said the lunatic may be few, but they own the place. And is that what we want? It's all for us to just...
So we are talking about the situation of our political class. How do we bring sanity onto the political space, Doctor?
Well, there are a number of parameters you can use to bring... Yes, of course. The first thing that we should be able to do is to... let the youth, sensitize the youth to get interested in politics. Because the impression that people have, especially in Cameroon, is that politics is just for politicians. The Cameroonians do not know that they own that politics themselves, because they are the one who give the mandate to the politicians. And that is why somebody will sit in his house, in his parlor, on his bed and say, those politicians, whatever they are saying, they do not know that they have to get implicated and take those their leaders into account. This is the first thing that we have to wait to bring sanity into the thing. When you have to shame your political leader, your political icon, you shame them and tell them, this is what you promised, you have not done it. They will be ashamed. It is because we receive them, we accept them the way they are. You have political parties or leaders who are just moving around, making their noise, and then they come during election to talk to you, and you are not able to fault them. You are not able to bring them to understand that there are certain things that they had to have done that they didn't do. We need to sensitize Cameroonians to get interested in the electoral process and to know that that electoral process, it is their thing, and they are the one to decide.
There must be that thing that can pull them.
You see, that is true. There is that thing that, and you know that there is not just that thing that should pull them. They should also pull that thing, because when you reach the apogee of suffering, as Cameroonians have reached now, it is no more an issue of something luring you. It is you luring that thing. Cameroonians should go in search for politics. Let them not wait for politics. Because when you wait for something to pull them, the only thing they come to you is because you are miserable, they give you some few francs saver, and because you are hungry, you want to satisfy the hunger at the moment, the temporal hunger that they have, as they usually do in elections. But when you are already here, you have overborne, like Rosa Parks in 1962. We have borne so much for so long a time. It is time. This has to stop. And therefore, we all transform all of ourselves into pelicans. And what does that mean? It means that we prefer and we accept to die, to suffer, even in hunger, for change. That is what happens. But what do we see in Cameroon? The issue is temporal satisfaction, temporal quench of hunger. And Cameroonians who are short-sighted, who believe in things that are ephemeral rather than perennial. Cameroonians do projects of 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, or 1 month. They do not look ahead. People don't believe that the tree you should plant now, the pear tree, the seed you nurse now, bear in mind that you are not the one who is going to harvest the pear. If you have that mentality, you fix the country. The mentality we have is that what you invest now is what you should reap before you die.
Yeah.
That is the issue. And that is what makes, the society not moving forward. Because everybody wants to eat. Like Ayinkwe Ama, in a beautiful one, and Bon will say, chop a chop, country supply. This is the philosophy that we have in Cameroon. That you say, okay, they are eating. They are also eating in Yaoundé. Why shouldn't I eat here? That is the issue. And that is what is happening in Cameroon. Can we change our mindset and say that, yes, I can suffer for my community? We have to start small. Because the issue is that we are too macro instead of micro. Meaning that what? sanitize your home, your household, sanitize your quarter, sanitize your village, and then you can wait for Yaoundé to be sanitized. But if you have the impression that there is just that up there that should be sanitized, I usually believe in a bottom-top approach to things, that for things to be changed, and that's why we keep on,
which in culture is called the principle of subsidiarity.
That is the thing, and that is why this subsidiarity principle we also preach when it comes to election, the council elections, that we have to first of all change from the base, because the capacity to change Cameroon is when the opposition, they have the highest number of parliamentarians. This is what people don't know. People think that it is only Paul Biya must go, Paul Biya must go. How do you get to Paul Biya with all the military arsenal, the bees and the presidential guide and all of those things? If you cannot change through the ballot box, then you have a different intention. And then that issue of stand up, as Mr. Ndium say, or Black Friday will only be, a shadow of itself. The point issue is, if you want change in the ballot box, then we have to start from the base. And it is very easy to change from the base, to sanitize from the base, because it is easy to take your mayor into account. Very easy, because these are people who will be with us. Even those parliamentarians who still have run away from their villages and are in towns, it is very easy to take them into account. It is very easy to win elections in my Noni constituency than to win in Douala or in Yaoundé, because in my Noni constituency, I can galvanize. I remember I'm being called already to stand as a parliamentarian. I'm not declaring my intention, but I'm saying that I have to first of all sanitize the environment. Let people know that they can hold their leaders to task, to speak truth to power, and be able to take their leaders to accountability. And that at the local level, it is easy to mobilize the people to come and vote.
How do we
put off the leaders, the local leaders?
Let me put it in a different language. I talk about sanitizing the political scene to you, but how do we get quacks and charlatans who have invaded the sector to get real politicians? Because in America, we get the key figures who are pulling the shots. In Nigeria, you get but in Cameroon, almost everybody is talking. Everybody is president.
Thank you,
Mr.
Liu.
Is it not to some extent some form of distraction?
It is a distraction and a serious one, Mr. Liu. I think there's need for a kind of reform when it comes to creating, first of all, a political party. And there should also be a kind of reform when it comes to, secondly, being a candidate for any let's say any elected office that is going to permit individuals who are capable to identify themselves in which office. For example, if you want to be, I just want to say, if you want to run for a parliamentary office, instead of just the caution of might be $1 million francs that you are supposed to put, they should ask for 10. That in itself discourages a lot of persons who are not.
We are talking about quacks. Can you determine a quack from his financial
status?
You may have somebody who has very lofty ideas, but who is poor, and then it means that anybody who is a scammer who can raise so much money pays and then goes for stuff. You
see, Mr. Leo, the reason why I'm saying this is because, first of all, I need that the idea that politics is where you get rich should be removed from the minds of individuals. When people have this idea that if I don't have, then I join politics, I'll become rich, that in itself is one of the encouraging factors that permit quacks to join. But if that is eliminated, then we'll further go on. I think being able to have powerful ideas and being able to prove from your youthfulness that you are a leader can be seen and encouraged by everybody. Individuals empower others when they see that you have what it takes. And but if the field is open for everybody, you can just create a political party when you want. You can just be run for any office when you want. It is not a bad thing, but a lot of individuals run into this thing for the sake of their stomachs. And if that can be eliminated from politics, then there will be a turnaround, because those who come in want to come in because they have something they want to contribute. And a lot of individuals who have the money in their pockets who want to sort out individuals with ideas to support, not just because somebody maybe has the opportunity to raise maybe $1 million francs and say, okay, I can run for a political office. Maybe because maybe I think I've attained the age, I don't have what it takes. I want to run for a political office. That in itself, Mr. Leo, needs to be reformed. And when that is done, you realize that those who do not have, but who have the ideas, who have the capacity, whom you can see leadership in them, they will be supported by those who have the money but lack the ideas. Because that is how politics is supposed to be done. If you have the money and you see an individual who have the ideas, who have the willingness and capacity to do what you think that needs to be done, I think it is then that you can bring in your money to push such an individual. But when you just get up, then you think maybe if I get into politics, I can make much money, then I can empower myself and my family can be protected. That is one of the reasons why should
a political party be existing for 20-25 years and has done virtually, has no impact, yet it is existing? How do we these guys out?
No, these are suitcase parties that even for the 20 years you cannot show where the general secretariat is. Cannot know where who are their militants, but that's not even my worry. My worry is that I think we should be appealing to those who are approving the creation of the parties. Some criteria should be put in place. If an individual comes up that he or she wants to form a political party, there are criteria that should be followed. In his or her immediate community, what level has he served the people?
Maybe the existence, proof of existence of cells or wards.
Yes. Or service to community. Yeah. Service to community. I think that's one of the criteria. That's one. Two, I don't think it should only be when you are writing a concours that they ask for casier judiciaire. How do you call it?
No, I'm sure they ask that.
Non-conviction is asked.
Non-conviction is asked. And we know that in Cameroon, those who have been convicted are those who have an upper hand in handling certain positions.
To your knowledge?
To the knowledge of Cameroonians. So we cannot base our attention on that. So what I'm saying is summary, Mr. Leo, is that if the government means business and the government is serious, there are criteria that must be put in place. That if any Cameroonian who wants to own or create a party does not meet up to those criteria, they should never own a party.
Yeah, but we have already 300. How do we shamble?
No, it is not too late. We can still reverse what I'm saying now. Let's just come back to your question and do some mathematics. I say, okay. I say, no, this party has been existing for 10 years. Mr. Man, which council have you been serving? No, I've never had a council. Out. You have been existing for 20 years. How many parliamentarians have you produced for this nation? You are a criminal. Out. I say, going by this, we will clean the political scene. It's possible. What the problem is at the level of will. The government in place knows that Cameroonians do not want them. So they want every means to keep them fighting among themselves. It's simple logic. If you discover that this party has been gunning for presidential election more than 4 times, they have never won a presidential election, they don't have a councillor. I mean a councillor. Simply go back. I think Minat should be following this program. Call these political party leaders or withdraw their licenses. As simple as that. Ban them from any rally. They should not hold any rally in the name of political convention or whatsoever. You cannot spend 20 years holding conventions every day.
But that would be anti-democratic also.
No, it's not anti-democratic. It will for the good of Cameroonians. That would be a reinforcement of pure democracy. Democracy means you have an opportunity to serve the people. Serve the people. You have not been serving the people. It cannot be anti-democratic. It rather becomes anti-democratic when you are there and you are not serving the people.
That's part of accountability.
Yes, in the governance, they used to tell us that you have three things now: accountability, transparency, and communication. So they do not communicate. You call them today, they come to communicate. That's anti-democracy. Are they transparent? No. Do you know where the secretariat is? No. Are they accountable? No. So putting all of this together, I think if Mr. Biya must be remembered as the person who brought democracy to Cameroon, he should order all instructions, high instructions should go to Minat. Do an evaluation of all the existing political parties and audit it. When was this party created? You deposit your license on the table. How many councillors have you had so far? Parliamentarians. Where have you been serving your people? Out, Mr. Man. I mean, and it's simple as this. And
I think.
Yeah, but how do we suggest? Because when you listen to the people, sincerely, Cameroonian the political sphere is also being run from tribal, regional, and some basis. Somebody is forced to belong to a political party not because he is convinced, he or she is convinced that my brother can take power, but just because let my brother not come out last without some votes. So I rather waste the votes so that.
Mr. Yo,
yes.
Let me give you an experience that occurred in Way Village. That was I think 2011. I had one of my uncle that went for the election. Even he had just one vote in Way. And the question was, even his wife, that vote, which party is the wife vote? And that was an experience. My mother keep telling me that when you look at that, then you can know that don't trust anybody in your life. And you asked a very important, it's important. He happened in Wavile, he had just one vote, and it was his vote. Because he said he voted for himself, and today he has a problem with the wife. They have divorced since after the incident. So answer your question. You asked the right person that question, civil society, but he dodged it. They are the problem now. They are the ones that can bring sanity by educating the masses on how they can identify a serious politician from a non-serious politician. No, it's begin from them. No, it begin from them. They have a role. They have the mandate. That's why they are civil society. They are political. What he has just said, that is what they should preach in their convention too. The civil society also need to have a convention. Do a to-do list and have
okay, we have this party. We have this party that has existed for 15 years.
This is the number of seats they have won.
They have never had a convention. No political activity.
Yes, they should give us a report of the different political aspect, and don't take a stand. Just give us a report and allow the people to make their decision. But we have not had that. TIA co-founder of NEA, the new area for Africa, they should tell us. I'm not putting you on the spot.
No. I want to actually give that kind of statistics. Some people think that I'm taking some.
No, we are saying an official document. Civil society, they do that in other nations. They produce official document, list of political parties that existed between 1990 when the multi-party policy was reintroduced right to this level. The different elections that they have went, they have gone the difference in Nigeria. Let me just chip you in. What the woman said is true. Partially because in Nigeria we cannot inculcate it in Cameroon at this level because as you said it will be anti-democratic. Minister of Territorial Administration has always been clear Cameroon is a state of law, and for us to introduce that the law does not work in retrospect. What partake in Nigeria is that if a party goes in for an election and is unable to have a local government area, that party that next election has no mandate, that party steps down. It's it's within the INEC constitution, and I think that is something that we can now borrow, whereby in a subsequent election, and we have the chance in 2025 where municipal elections will be conducted. We understand what he said, that the leadership at the level benefit from this division, and now to cut the leadership at the level, Dr. Ndimancho mentioned that let's begin at the level of the parliament. So if you have the parliament, you have a good number of seats at the parliament, then we can now start introducing this consensus that okay, let's rework on this law and start shaping out quacks from charlatan. But in the meantime, civil society, they have a great role to play. Because it is a civil society. The civil society is like the constitutional council of a nation. They are the watchdog because they are political and they are not partisan. Don't we know how these things work? But in context, the line on apoliticalness, because they are the people that fight on the rights of the people. Now, one thing that I want to say here is that to remove these quacks from this charlatanism, if Dr. Ndimancho will partner with that of Barrister Agbobala and they partner together with other civil society, they come together and have a harmonious stand on voters' education and education on good governance. We need to start seeing conclave. We need to start seeing General Assembly of civil society talking about good governance, democracy, politicking, how to identify this. I think you go a long way. But if we just limit ourselves on Pan-Africanism, being afraid of that they will kill us in our own nation if we stand by what we are saying, and I think that's what most of our civil society are afraid of. Most of our civil society have bought the Pan-African vision and lambasting the West, but our nation is going down and we are afraid that both they will kill me or they will kill me. Then we want the opposition man to come and stand. No, I think it begins also from us. Let's have that introspection. I'm not shooting the shot on the co-founders here, but I just believe that as objective as possible, because it is said, and Dr. Michael understands this, that the church is one, the church is holy, the church is apostolic, and it's universal. So that universality of the church, we cannot dilute ourselves of singing hallelujah when the man in Douala cannot boast of electricity for 24 hours. We cannot dilute ourselves of singing hallelujah when the man in his house, in the church, cannot buy food. The church has a role now to play. This brings us now to the second actor, the civil society and the church. The church in Cameroon has not played that its role effectively in education of governance.
They should call on those who are wasting time to
they should appeal to their consciences. Appeal, because these people go to church, they sit on front row.
Because we have people whose minds are divided towards 300 directions, when they could just disappear and allow those who are serious to.
Yeah, Mr. Leo, there's one thing that the government too is implicated in what we're talking about, because the political party is supposed to be a moral entity, moral organization. But you realize that sometimes the political party and the leader are too interwoven that you cannot separate. And that is why people keep on talking about my political party. And to the extent whereby it is very difficult. A father leaves his political party and gives to the wife, or he leaves and gives to the son or to the daughter. This is what is happening. The Cameroon government, in issuing authorization, they shouldn't issue authorization to political parties as we issue birth certificates. It is not your thing.
Or a shop.
Or shop or marriage certificate. It's not your thing. It is a thing of a group.
But that's how it normally is.
So that's how it's supposed to be. But you see in Cameroon, somebody talks about my political party, you cannot come and interfere. We have had political parties here which are transformed from father to son, father to wife, and all of those. And this is what we are declining. And the second thing is that to get the political party, I mean, we have made mention of this here, that you have to be sure of your financial status. Meaning that what you see, like Eto was even trying to revolutionize the issue of the fake food, to say that for any club to be regarded as a club, you must be sure of your account. I mean, bank account. You must be sure of this, players and all of those. Political parties are supposed to be like that. Not that you just leave from any Dick and Tom. Just get up from his bed, and then you think that you can be able to form a political party and then start disturbing people around with it, and then sitting in bars and I mean,
how they win it today.
Can you imagine sitting in bars and then looking at it today over there and claiming that, I mean, being called president, because that's all about it. People want to be called president. It's not because they really want the presidency here, it's because they want to be honored. When there's an issue of president, I see people organizing conventions, and then convention, you see people with long galdoras and all those things, they come as presidents. And then when you now get into the details, thank you for the information. I mean, I openly have said it's good to make an inventory of all the political parties in Cameroon, and be able to note them and let the people know that exactly this political party is a scam, or this one, I don't know how it came about. And then we'll be able to put the Ministry of Territorial Administration to task.
Yes.
We'll put them to task and ask what document did these people present? Or is it the party has been formed by the Ministry of Territorial Administration and then handed to this man in order to stabilize the opposition party?
Yes.
Because that too is possible.
Yes.
The many of these parties are formed. Since they are not, they sit in bars where they drink and they get drunk and they look at Etoji, these political parties have a bad intention. And then we should be able to declare that they have bad intention and unmask them and let them know that they are not for any change in Cameroon. These are some of the things that we have to get into in order to sanitize this environment of political party. A political party should be able to be sure to tell us that, okay, this is my plan for the future. I plan to put all delegates or the open cells in all the regional delegates or to have regional representatives. How are you going to do that? What are you going to use? I remember there's a photo that came up where there's one political party leader was standing on the way trying to break a bike, to take a bike and go to where he was going to, and it was like, I mean, the way he was even dressed see, political parties are supposed to be responsible. They are supposed to be like pastors. You know, the way pastors preach in church, the first thing is that they look responsible. They are supposed to look in order to give an example to all of their followers and to all of their militants. These are some of the parameters we are going to get in, we are supposed to get in. And secondly, I think that we should, the government, the parliament should be able to allow this dual nationality stuff. Because dual nationality, one of the fear of dual nationality, to me, my analysis is that they are afraid of competition. Because when you have people who are coming from out and able to share their experience, yes, their experience back home, people here feel they have a complex and they feel that they are no match, they cannot compete with them. I think that if we allow dual nationality in Cameroon, you will find that politics is going to take a new turn and a different turn, because we come with their experience, we will come with a new thing, new technology, and all of this and doing things, and people are afraid of it.
And they'll come with huge sums
of money.
Okay, we are going to be ending at this juncture. Thank you, Doctor, for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Liu. I mean, it was quite a great debate, and we think that the people of Cameroon, that we are not making. Somebody said we talk, they don't hear. They are hearing us, but the point is that a stubborn child remains a stubborn child. But we think that at one moment, if you don't act, nature acts, because nature hates a vacuum. Nature will feel a vacuum if you don't want to feel it.
Okay, thank you for coming, Prof. Marc.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. I want to extend my greetings to the Babanki community here in Douala and around the nation of Cameroon and those back in the village, wheresoever you are. I also want to take this opportunity to say, I think it is time for each and every one of us to own a voter's card, and now is the time to register. The 31st of August will be the deadline of you being able to register, so do it now while you still have time.
Thank you for coming, Zulu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Liu. I seize this opportunity to greet the branch of the Cameroon civil society members that are watching us, Southwest, Northwest, and the West region. It's true that it's not been very easy, but great success comes after difficulties. Okay. So we are together. We shall reach this.
Okay, Tah Mai, thank you for coming.
Thank you. I want to seize this opportunity to wish Mami Nyam Robert a happy 90th birthday. We celebrated the birthday over the weekend in Bamenda. Many, it's not easy to reach at the age of 90. It takes God's grace to reach at that age. So I want to wish that lovely mother happy birthday, and to the entire family a good celebration.
Thank you all for watching this edition of Prime Hour. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.